Welcome to Free Thought Matters. I'm Annie Laurie Gaylor, co-president of the Freedom From Religion Foundation, which produces this talk show.
And I'm Amitabh Pal, the Director of Communications for the Freedom From Religion Foundation.
FFRF is the nation's largest association of freethinkers and works to keep religion out of government. And we'd love to have you join us today or ask for information, including a sample of our newspaper, Free Thought Today, at ffrf.org.
It's my immense pleasure to introduce our guest today, Sushant Singh, a well-known Indian movie and TV actor and presenter. He's done an array of roles, including in period dramas such as Ambedkar, about the father of the Indian Constitution, and the Legend of Bhagat Singh. Bhagat Singh was a radical and a freethinker we have just added to our FFRF pantheon of freethinkers. And in perhaps his most famous role, Sushant played his comrade Sukhdev, who was hanged along with Bhagat Singh by the British. He's also been in a number of TV shows and hosted the immensely popular true crime show Savdhaan India, or Attention India, from 2012 to 2019. Sushant Singh openly identifies as an atheist, including on his Twitter bio, and has been in the forefront of protests against Hindu nationalism and Prime Minister Modi's slew of Hindu nationalist proposals. In fact, under dubious circumstances, Mr. Singh was removed for a time from his role as the host of that popular TV crime show, Savdhaan India. And he came to our attention initially for speaking out against a discriminatory citizenship bill. In late 2019, we had him on the radio show, and came to our attention again for being quoted in the New York Times against increasing censorship by the Modi government.
And when this pandemic is over, we look forward to meeting our guest in person at a future convention where he will be receiving the Avijit Roy Courage Award of $5,000, going to an individual who, despite obstacles, is working for rational and logical discourse. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's the end of your workday, all the way from Mumbai, India, Sushant Singh.
Thank you so much for having me on your show, and it's a pleasure speaking to you again. Last time we spoke, it was on your radio, I believe.
Yes, Sushant, so you've been in the TV and movie industry now for almost pretty much 2 decades. And
yeah, more than 22 years.
More than 22 years. But, and your activism, has that been sort of a more recent phenomenon, or have you been outspoken and kind of, socially involved for that time period too?
I have been I think, outspoken and socially involved. But yes, of course, with the advent of social media platforms, one becomes more noticeable. One's voice is amplified more, and you don't depend on news channels or media houses, if they will present you favorably or not. So I think now my activism has come more to the forefront. And yes, I have been more active in recent times.
And you have a following of hundreds of thousands on Twitter, and a big fan following just generally. Did you start speaking out much more since Prime Minister Modi attained power in 2014?
Maybe, yeah, because more issues cropped up, more things demanded or needed my attention or drew my attention. And yeah, probably that's why. In last 6 years, yes, more so.
For American viewers who are not as familiar with the threat of Hindu nationalism and what Prime Minister Modi is doing, could you briefly talk about the problems that he's causing your country?
Well, I don't know where to begin. And, it's easy to pin blame on one guy, but frankly, in my analysis, that's not the case. A society becomes whatever it is ready for. No one person or one organization can suddenly transform a society into something which it was inherently not. So, yes, the religious differences, the bigotry, racism, that has plagued our society forever. And it has come to the forefront now, because when you fan the flames, the hidden feelings, they do come out. So, no, end of the day, the society is to be blamed. We ourselves are to be blamed, all of us, for whatever is happening. we should have been more aware. We took things for granted, be it our fundamental rights, or be it our constitution, or be it the secular fabric of our society and country. I think we took everything for granted. We thought it can never be snatched away, or it can never transform into something which is not acceptable to majority of the society. So, but yeah, we were laid back, so we are facing the consequences.
So India is theoretically a secular nation. And so under Prime Minister Modi, we see this rise of Hindu nationalism. And you spoke out in particular about a citizenship bill. Could you briefly explain that?
For the first time, amendments to our constitution and our laws, that's nothing new. In every country that happens, because as times change, our rules and regulations and laws, they need to adapt to the changing circumstances. But for the first time, we saw an amendment to the Citizenship Act where religion became a basis, where citizenship would be granted to illegal immigrants on the basis of religion, and only one religion was excluded, that was Islam. Muslims would not be given, Muslims from three countries, namely Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. If they were illegal immigrants to India, they would not be granted citizenship, and that was problematic. That is against the secular ethos of our constitution, because our preamble says that no person in India would be discriminated against on the basis of race, creed, or religion, gender or religion. So there I saw a problem, and that's why a lot of us voiced our opinion against it. We protested, and there were nationwide protests which were again historical, led by women of our country.
We have some footage of you, a brief footage of you speaking at one rally that we'd like to play.
जोड़कर भावभीनी श्रद्धांजलि देते हैं उस एक बस को जो दिल्ली में जलाई गई थी, उसके बदले आप डॉक्टर कफील पर.
So we see this huge crowds right now, and after that, well, could you explain a little bit? You were hosting a crime show, a very popular true crime show. Is that right?
Yes, Sushant, could you get a bit into that? And I know it's complex, but the circumstances of your temporary departure, to the extent that you feel comfortable discussing it with us.
It was not a temporary departure. It was an absolute divorce.
Yeah, I see. Okay.
I'm no longer part of that show. And I think the circumstances are, I can't even describe that, call it a coincidence or whatever was happening. I spoke up against the violence which was perpetrated upon the students in Delhi, in JNU and Jamia. And coincidentally, the very same day when I spoke up, that was 16th of December of 2019, which happens to be my wife's birthday also. So that very night, or you can say early morning of 17th at around 2 a.m. in the morning, I received a WhatsApp message from the person who was coordinating with me from the channel that 20th of December might be their last day of shooting with me. So I posted on social media that, okay, and my journey with Savdhaan India comes to an end. So in response to that, somebody asked me, is it the price for speaking the truth? And it was pretty late at night, so I responded, if it is, it's a small price to pay. And that sort of spiraled into a huge thing. And so till date, I cannot say for sure whether I was removed from my stand or whether it was purely because of ratings or whatever. But whatever happened, happened. See, the issue was not about me. Still, it is not about me.
But you have lent your celebrity to this cause, and we're grateful. And there's an interview that you did about this at the time that we'd like to show just a little clip of.
We are treating our future as criminals. We are breaking their backs. And I could not stay silent anymore.
Right. That's why you decided to speak out.
I speak out even more loudly. I have been speaking, but I'm not such a big voice. Frankly, I'm not the.
No, we need voices. It doesn't matter big or small. In times like this, anyone who has an opinion, either side, should speak up.
So that's when I just couldn't bear it. I wrote something also and posted it. I felt like that I needed to do everything which I can.
Right.
I cannot stop now. Like so many people have run away.
Yeah.
So many people are thinking of
Leaving the country.
leaving the
that's what you
country.
hear.
I've been talking to people, and I would say a thought creeps up in my mind also. But I'm
Then what makes you stay back?
because I would be setting a wrong example in front of my kids. You can't run away. I can. What about?
That's an interview that you gave. It's a very devastating time. We know kind of what you've been going through in India because we've had a lot of Christian nationalism and autocracy in the United States. It looks like we're making some progress now, but very dark times. And when we come back, we are talking with somebody who has played a real hero, R-E-E-L, who is now a real hero, R-E-A-L, a freedom fighter in his own way in India, the actor Sushant Singh. And when we come back, we want to talk a little bit more about your atheism and also a little bit more about why all the farmers are protesting in India.
Hi, I'm Ron Reagan, an unabashed atheist, and I'm alarmed by the intrusions of religion into our secular government. That's why I'm asking you to support the Freedom from Religion Foundation, the nation's largest and most effective association of atheists and agnostics, working to keep state and church separate, just like our founding fathers intended. Please support the Freedom from Religion Foundation. Ron Reagan, lifelong atheist, not afraid of burning in hell.
My name is Katie, and I am an out-of-the-closet atheist. I've never really believed in a God. Of course, there are always those moments where you wish an omnipotent being would swoop down and offer divine intervention, but ultimately, you can't reconcile that with reality. I never really liked attending church either. When I was in grade school, I had to go 5 days a week and once on the weekends, and then in high school I had to go, and I went to Catholic school the entire time. One Ash Wednesday after I got my license, I wasn't able to go to church with my family. So I told my mom I would go, but instead I drove to a park, lit the end of a stick on fire, and smudged the ashes on my forehead to prove that I had gone. Ultimately, the church's position on same-sex marriage, women's rights, and their handling of certain scandals were the final nails in the cross, so to speak. As a feminist and a humanitarian, I find it necessary to come out of the closet and declare my atheism.
Thank you for watching Free Thought Matters. You can find more content by the Freedom from Religion Foundation at our website, ffrf.org. Follow FFRF on Facebook, and you'll get notifications about all of our content, including whenever we go live on FFRF's Ask an Atheist. FFRF is also on YouTube, where all of our programs, including this show and our weekly news bites, are available to watch anytime. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you on the web.
My name is Bill, and I'm an out-of-the-closet atheist, meaning I don't really care what you believe, and I don't really think that you should care what I believe. I was raised in South Dakota in a strict Catholic family. I was an altar boy. I served Mass a lot of Sundays twice. The priest gave us this little card that said, "In case of accident, please call a priest." I don't really like that idea anymore since I left the church about 40 years ago. Now, if you find me alongside the road after an accident, please call an ambulance and an EMT.
Welcome back to Free Thought Matters. We are interviewing well-known actor Sushant Singh, all the way from Mumbai, India, who's actually joining us at the end of a busy day from a shoot, which is why he's in his car. And Sushant Singh, welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for taking the time and trouble.
Thank you. My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you.
And if I may ask, since you are in the movie industry, Sushant, and I've been following things there, you are not the only voice speaking out against Prime Minister Modi's policies, but you're in a minority. And many of the established actors either are staying silent or supporting his agenda and policies over the past 6-7 years. Can you please talk to us, to the extent you are comfortable, about the divisions within the movie industry and how that may have affected you without necessarily naming names?
When you're talking about ideology, differences will always be there. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when you are on the opposing sides, of course, there'll be arguments. Somebody will feel hurt, somebody will feel bad. But that's fine. Division is only as good or as bad as it is in the society. There are a lot of people who support these policies, and then there are a lot of people who are opposing these policies. So we are part of our society. So obviously, it's natural to have these divisions, which is all right. The thing is that what I fail to understand is farmers they constitute almost more than 60% of our population is engaged in farming. And almost all the farmers in a united voice are fighting against these laws. They want these laws to be repealed because they feel in the long run, these laws are going to be harmful for them. Their lands might be snatched away. And if the farmers are not happy with a law, then they know what's best for them, right? So I might understand or might not understand these laws. Farmers do. And if they're protesting against these laws, they're afraid of these laws, then I feel it is my duty to stand with them.
Just to give a bit of background to our American audience, India has been rocked by a wave of protests in recent months by farmers who are demonstrating against the government removing price support mechanisms, proposing to. It's now delayed that, price support mechanisms to farmers who, as Sushant says, constitute the majority of the country. Also, what's happened is that a good portion of these farmers are from the state of Punjab and are minority of the minority Sikh faith. Sushant, can you please talk a bit about that? How the Modi government has kind of played on that recently and on the fact that they belong to, they're non-Hindus, into vilifying them, if I may be honest.
See, first of all, Hinduism is, it's not very easy to label Hinduism as, one giant monolithic kind of philosophy or religion. We have so many panths, and it's beautiful. Even though I'm an atheist, but the philosophy of Hinduism, I think it's fantastic. We even have a panth for Nastics, which you call atheists. So those who don't believe in the Vedic system of religion, they are called Nastics. We have even a panth for those who only believe in science and numbers, Sankhya philosophy. So it's beautiful, it's vast. And a majority of Hindus, they consider Sikhs as a Hindu panth also, which is not true. Sikhism is a faith and a beautiful faith. Yes, these protests were started by farmers in Punjab. Majority of them are Sikhs. But right now, it's not just them. Haryana joined them. UP joined them. Rajasthan joined them. Then people from down south, they have also joined. People from Maharashtra have joined. But initially, the whole media, which is a propaganda media in our country, they started painting this whole thing as a Khalistani movement because Sardars or Sikhs were involved. They started saying these are all Khalistanis. When that didn't work, because then Haryana joined in.
Just to clarify, Khalistan was a separatist movement which was there in the state of Punjab in the 1980s and 90s, but it's pretty much died out now.
Yeah. So, and these farmers were not demanding Khalistan. They were not asking for Khalistan. Nobody was. I've been there to the protest sites. And then when the UP farmers joined in, when Rajasthan joined in, when Haryana joined in, then they could no longer keep saying that, okay, this is Khalistani. Then they said, now Maoists have come in, or Naxalites have come in, anti-social elements have come in. So they started painting these farmers from so many states as if they are all criminals. They started saying that they are not even farmers. There are lakhs and lakhs of people. I've been to, there's a place called Tikri border, where you won't believe, for 24 kilometers on one side of the highway, there are tractor trolleys back to back, where people are living for last more than 70 days. 24 kilometers only on one border. And that's towards Haryana. Then there's Ghazipur, that's towards UP, lakhs of farmers there. On Singhu border, Punjab, lakhs of farmers there. And right now, a lot of meetings are happening in village after village in UP and Haryana, where lakhs and lakhs are coming together. So how do you say that they are not farmers? And they're all united.
Well, we're certainly seeing a lot of protests show up in our daily newspapers here about the farmers, and it's good to have that background. But Mr. Sushant Singh, could you tell us more about why you're an atheist? You were raised Hindu, correct?
Yes, I was. I am the ritualistic part of religion that somehow never sat well with me. Because if there is God, then omnipotent, everywhere. So I don't need a particular place to worship that God. Nature is created by that God. Everything in this universe is created by that God. So wherever I am with that God. So why do I need a particular place or a particular symbol? That sort of, I could never digest that. And then, of course, what if tomorrow we find aliens? Yeah. What about their God? And then what about, okay, my God is better than your God? And, it's like saying my daddy's strongest. So that's where the problem starts. And then in the name of religion, and we end up, wreaking havoc, violence. Religion is supposed to be a beautiful thing. It's supposed to teach you how to live in a humane way. Then why does it always end up creating chaos and violence? Why do people fight over it? So I could never accept a system which makes people fight. You can have your religion, love your religion, but you love your country. We love our homes, period. So, but that does not mean that my home is the best in the world or better than yours. No, I love my home the most, period. I love my God the most, period. You love your God the most, period. But humans, it seems they just can't grasp this concept. And then this whole thing of, the rules and regulations, that how you will follow a particular religion, that also is something which is, every animal knows how to live. Every animal knows what to eat, what not to eat, how to procreate. Naturally, they all know. It seems only, as I said in my radio interview, it seems only us humans, supposed to be the finest creation of God, we need to have a user manual to learn how to live. I mean, I'm sorry, that sounds wrong. Either God created us, the perfect being, God. He created such imperfect people who don't know how to live. Doesn't sound right. So that's why.
Very good answer. Were you an atheist at a young age? And is that unusual in India?
Not really. No. As I said, Hinduism doesn't look down upon atheism. It has a branch, a panth, for Nastics. So, recent times, maybe. But no, there's no, I have never faced any discrimination, or nobody has looked down upon me because, so you don't go to temple. A lot of practicing Hindus, they're not, daily regular worshippers. Or we don't have a system of a Sunday mass that you will be considered religious only if you go there. On a certain festive occasions, yeah, in my home also, we do a bit of puja. But that is because, yeah, we've seen that since childhood. But that does not mean that if we don't do that, we'll feel bad. I'm also trying to introduce my children to what is our culture, what is our roots. And then I'm talking to them about atheism also. There are other religions also, so they should be free to choose if they want to be religious or spiritual or whatever they want to be. So it's my duty to introduce to them whatever there is around us, and then let them choose. So, yeah, it's not a simple issue to discuss, actually. It's a complex and long discussion.
But certainly admirable to let children grow up and decide for themselves when they're old enough to understand these concepts. So you have been able to find roles, even though there was this appearance that you got let go because of your political views against Modi. And could you tell us what it's like right now? Are you on a set with social distancing, or is everything kind of back to normal?
It's almost back to normal. We still do use masks and regular checkups for the unit, where we make sure that everybody is COVID free. Those things are happening, and we try to shoot with smaller units, keep them in a sort of, if you're going outdoors, we keep ourselves in a sort of a bio bubble kind of a thing. We don't interact with too many people, but yeah, more or less we are back to normal. A lot of travel. In fact, I think in Corona times, I have traveled more than I have ever traveled in pre-Corona times.
Really?
That's interesting.
Yeah. And I'm getting the roles, thankfully. There are like-minded people. It's not like that, the whole industry is silent or divided or fine. There are a lot of people. And I think I've been blessed with good amount of talent. So thankfully, fortunate. I'm still getting work. In fact, it seems this is the most exciting phase of my career as an actor.
Well, that's good to hear, and we really do look forward to meeting you in person.
Certainly, we hope to meet you later this year.
With the Avijit Roy Courage Award, and we thank you so much, Mr. Sushant Singh, for what you're doing to combat Hindu nationalism and promote atheism, and for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for watching Free Thought Matters.
Because free thought matters.
Hi, I'm Steve Pinker. In my book, Enlightenment Now, I show that the world has become a better place as reason has been overcoming superstition and tribalism. But the values of the Enlightenment are under attack. That's why I'm a proud member of the Freedom from Religion Foundation, the nation's largest association of free thinkers working to keep state and church separate. Please join me in supporting the Freedom from Religion Foundation to ensure that our government is driven not by religion, but by reason.